and welcome to another episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to be making, or rather baking, some troll cakes. And if you're wondering what is a troll cake, well, it's my version of the classic red velvet cupcake. And it's a troll cake because I'm making it for Noiseware, who obviously have a song called Troll Face. So, troll cake, get it? So, a red velvet cupcake is basically a delicious moist vanilla cupcake with a kiss of cocoa to it. The red is basically a color, nothing else. There's no flavoring, so to speak. And this is topped with a delicious cream cheese frosting. Don't go in for that buttercream stuff. I'm talking real delicious cream cheese. And believe me, it is to die for. So to make these cupcakes, we're going to need the following ingredients. We're going to need 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup of granulated white sugar, 1 egg, half a teaspoon of vinegar, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, 1 tablespoon of red food coloring, 1 tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 cup of vegetable oil and half a cup of buttermilk. So if you don't have buttermilk at home, I'm going to show you a very quick and easy way to get a buttermilk substitute done. So here I have half a cup of regular milk, and to this I'm going to add half a capful of just plain white vinegar. Not too much, but this will work as a substitute for buttermilk. And we're just going to leave this for 5 minutes, and you will see that the milk will curdle up a bit and become sour just like buttermilk. Now remember, when you're going to be baking, try and not tamper too much with the recipes because things can go horribly wrong. And we have wet ingredients and dry ingredients which kind of explain themselves. So I'm going to start by taking our dry ingredients, the flour, and I'm going to add the baking soda to that. I'm going to add the cocoa powder and our salt. Now if you're wondering why we're adding salt, well, apparently salt brings out the flavoring in everything and gives your cake a totally different dimension. So we've got these mixed together now. We're going to start by putting in our oil into a big mixing bowl. And I'm just using plain vegetable oil. You don't want to use an olive oil or anything because that will obviously flavor your cake, which we don't want. And to mix everything, I'm going to be using my trusty mixer. Now, some people have those big stand mixers where I can't afford one, but I've had this in my family for over 30 years, I think, and it served me quite well. So I'm going to use this to mix everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix all our wet ingredients with the oil. So I'm going to add in our vanilla essence. I'm going to add in the egg, the half teaspoon of vinegar. I'm just going to mix this around then. So next we're going to add in the red food coloring, and be careful with this. This stuff will be tough to get off your hands. So just be careful when you handle that. And then you add in your buttermilk, and that's all your wet ingredients. Just beat that. Next, I'm going to add in my sugar. Now, stick to the white granulated sugar. I tried doing this with brown sugar once and it failed miserably. And finally, we're going to add in the rest of our dry ingredients. And you would want to do this in about 2 batches. And so just mix it so that you don't get covered in flour. Then you can. You might want to get yourself one of these things, very handy and a very useful tool when baking, and just scrape everything off the sides so that you get everything mixed in well. You don't want to waste anything. And that's pretty much it. The batter for the cupcakes is ready. Now you might have noticed that I used oil in this recipe, and you can also make cupcakes using butter, which I have tried before. And I honestly found that the cupcakes made with oil were slightly lighter. And especially given that, we're in India where it's a very hot temperature, you want to keep your cupcakes in the fridge, and when you do that, obviously the oil retains the lightness in the cupcakes, whereas the cupcakes made from butter are slightly heavier. The recipe is more or less the same, but you will cream the butter and the sugar first, then add all your wet ingredients and then your dry ingredients. Pretty much the same. So here we have our baking tray with these little cupcake liners. You can get these at any store, and I'm going to use this ladle to scoop in the batter. And you don't want to fill it too much to the top, just about 3/4 of the way, unless you want your cupcakes to be bigger, in which case then go for it. And just give your tray a little tap to knock out any air pockets that might be there. So now we're going to bake these for about 18 to 20 minutes, and you want to remember to keep an eye on these at least once it passes the 15-minute mark, because these can get overcooked in no time. And you want to test these by putting a toothpick right through the middle of the cupcake, and if it comes out clean, that's when you know it's done. So let's go and bake these troll cakes. So while our cupcakes are baking in the oven, I'm going to whip up that delicious cream cheese frosting which we're going to top the cupcakes with. And for this we're going to need just some vanilla essence, some butter, some cream cheese and some sugar. Now you need to make sure your butter and your cream cheese are at room temperature. So we're going to start by adding our butter and cream cheese to our mixing bowl. Add in our vanilla essence and just beat that. Next we add in our sugar. Now the reason we use icing sugar is because apparently it has a bit of cornstarch in it which keeps the filling together. Now I have also made this with regular sugar myself and it's not too bad, but if you have icing sugar, it's better to use that. And you want to add the sugar a little bit at a time, because you can always add more sweetness to it, but you can't remove it. Just remember, get it all off the sides, let it mix in nicely. And there it's all mixed in well. And make sure you get all that icing off your beaters. And if you guys weren't looking, I would be licking these beaters clean right now. That icing is to die for. So there you have it. The cream cheese frosting is ready, and all we have to do is wait for our cupcakes to be done, and then we're going to ice them and they will be ready to eat. So our cupcakes are out of the oven and I kept them to cool on a cooling rack, and now they are ready to be frosted. So I'm just going to take a standard piping bag that you can buy at any store, and I've got a nozzle here. Again, you can get a simple straight nozzle or one of these fancy ones. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put the cream cheese frosting into the bag. And I use my hand to push it down. And you don't want to waste any of this delicious frosting. Make sure you get all that frosting down. There. Alright, so it's time to frost this now, and you want to go from the outside of the cake round. Make sure you get a lot of frosting. This is the most delicious part. And we're done. That looks beautiful. And now, to give it that special troll twist, give a little gift for Noiseware. So here you have it. Our delicious troll cakes are ready, and we're going to wait for Noiseware to come and taste these. They look delicious, trust me. And I'm sure they taste delicious too. So now that our troll cakes are done, you might want to refrigerate this for about 15 minutes before you eat it, just so it cools down and becomes nice and cool. This, of course, if you're living in India where it's, 30 plus in the summer. But otherwise, these are good to go. These are delicious. I'm going to eat one while Noiseware comes. So you can see how soft and delicious it is. Oh, that is moist and soft. I'm going to taste one. I can't not eat this. So good. So I'm going to wait for Noiseware to come and eat the rest of the troll cakes. Welcome back to Headbanger's Kitchen. My guests today are known for their explosive live performances, their love for trolling the internet, and 8-string guitars. I've got Aman and Adhiraj from Noiseware with me. Hey guys, welcome to Headbanger's Kitchen.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here, man. Thank you.
Alright, so the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what is up with the bad English on your Facebook page? Hi guys, be our fans.
I think, you should answer that.
I think we put that up, Noiseware, before trolling and this whole internet thing really blew up. It was a very underground kind of a thing, and we used to be we spent a lot of time online on forums and stuff, and all this is forum lingo, which now you have like, Troll Marathi, Troll Pune, and all these kind of really weird pages. So it kind of stuck with us back then, and it was pretty, unthought of. We were just like, okay, we need when you enter your Facebook about or something, you had to write one line which would showcase in that little bar that shows up. And we just, in the moment, I just wrote, please become our fan in some very bad English. And even though a lot of the other things changed, where we probably moved a little away from that kind of vibe, that kind of stuck on, and we let it be.
We didn't know, we weren't very sure of what content needs to go there. So we just keep it simple, keep it fun, and that's all.
Keep it fun. Also is about being happy.
So really bad English.
But you guys are known for this whole trolling thing. You even have a song called Troll Face. So how, is that the image that you're kind of trying to portray, the whole not serious, trolly vibe,
I guess, when the EP came out, probably, we were working with that theme, and it worked for us for a while, and, we really could engage a lot of audiences. But over the years, I'm sure,
I think what happened was, back then we used to spend a lot of time on the internet, and it was where we picked up everything. So I used to make these demos for Noiseware where, I used to record at home and I used to send it to the guys. And I used to just name the first thing that came to my mind.
Which still happens, by the way.
It still happens, and now
all our demos, you don't
have
know
what they're called. So the first thing that came to mind, I would send it across, and inevitably those names are the names which stuck around, because we were a pretty happy metal band. We're not the serious, angry metal band. We're a pretty happy metal band generally.
Very approachable and fun guys.
So so the story behind the name was just that, man. It was pretty slapstick. It was pretty the humor that goes on in the house, which kind of reflected in the names, and it worked for us. As Aman said back then, it did work for us.
We never have had an intense
discussion for any of the names. The song 23, I remember all of us hadn't seen the movie 23 with Jim Carrey, and we saw it, and we saw it at a very random moment, and we all ended up really liking it, and we were like, wow, this is great. And the movie's pretty average,
most of our songs have,
but it was just, the song ended up being called 23, and I think the lyrics came in after that, after the instrumental was finished. So
yeah, because I read some of your lyrics, and they're quite intense. They're not very happy go.
Best man to answer
that. Is it this kind of thing, especially with metal bands these days, it's about it's cool to not be metal, but yet you are metal by not being, the stereotype metalhead that people expect. So what's the thought process behind the way you write lyrics? And I mean, do you guys just let the song names happen and they have no connection with the lyrics?
Song names have nothing to do with the lyrical.
For the most
content
bit,
or-
yeah, at all.
And the way I approach my writing is like whatever works with the song, whatever I'm feeling with the song when I'm listening to it. Like what happens is he finishes most of the tracking, and then that's when I start writing the lyrics.
As Noiseware, it's always the instrumental. Pretty much 90% of the time finishes first. I mean, end to end.
And almost every time it is.
Yeah.
So
end to end, the
always how-
instrumental track will probably be finished because we do a lot of writing on the computer, and then he will come in
Yeah,
and
and
jam.
I have
on
like
that,
the
yeah.
complete freedom to
Do
take
whatever
it
you
wherever it goes. If I'm feeling a good positive vibe and I'm feeling something at a particular time, I start writing about stuff. And then the thing with Noiseware songs is like it has to be phrased so that it locks into that grid. That groove has to be maintained at all times. So that's how I approach it. It's a combination of all of that.
But yeah, lyrics, as Aman says, it's all up for interpretation. It's
So just to sort of get a little bit of a vibe of the history of Noiseware. First of all, what brought on the name?
yeah.
Is there a story behind that?
It's not a great story. You'd expect a great story, but it's not. We formed, I remember, in the May of 2009, and it was just me and Gautam. And again, we formed off the internet. So I remember it was awkward back then, and I had found Aniket because he was on another community, and it said guitar player, and he was putting out his demos online.
He had a project called
Azoth. And everybody should go check that out. Azoth. Soundclick.com/Azoth. So, and there was Bob, who I had actually posted for a bass player, and he thought it was for a guitar player. And he was like, oh yeah, this style of music for a guitar player, hell yeah. He called me, the entire conversation happened. He had assumed that it was for a guitar player spot, and I had assumed it was for a bass player spot. And so the conversation about to get over, and I tell him, okay, cool man, what bass do you have? What bass, man?
I think he just went with the flow.
What bass, man? There's no bass. I play guitar. So anyway, but he's actually a guitar player who became a bassist, and he's someone who purely because he liked the direction we were going in, he was like, I want to be on board with this, and I'm willing to, take up bass to be on board with this. So after that happened, Aman wasn't in the band back then. It was Karan Pote, who's a great guy, and we started and. Pretty much for the first 1 year we were with him, wherever we got, it was because of him. So, when the band came in, we had a show, the Hammerfest too, at Pune, and we needed a name, and everybody was given a task that you had to come up with some 5 names or something. And I remember I had this thought of creating a name which kind of is very contradictory as to what it means. Pretty much like how Trollface has a very serious and different style of lyrics. And Noiseware was one of them, and we had a long list, and everybody kind of unanimously said this sounds cool and we should stick to it. And we did, and we got a bit of flack for it, I remember, because the term noise is actually very negative, and you don't want to associate it with music, especially when you're playing metal.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it worked. It worked for us, and it turned out to be a pretty catchy name. People like
it is unique also. I don't think there's another Noiseware. I thought
no
it was
other
something...
In fact, we named the band, and about I think 6 months later, turned out there was a image noise reduction software for photographs called Noiseware. When we were trying to get the domain name for the website, noiseware.com, we're like, yeah, we have this, and we go there and it's oh no, this is taken.
I think even a Twitter account has been taken.
Yeah, by some random Pune kid whose Twitter status is studying. That's it.
So we
and that was 2 years ago, so we need to try and get that handle back somehow.
Nice. Good luck on that.
Thank you.
So, you've also kind of been in the scene before Noiseware.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the history of Adhiraj.
Do you want to open the can of worms,
Why
bring
not?
out the skeletons in the closet?
Please do that.
'Cause I remember
I never get to hear this.
Sahil has seen me since I was 16, I think. So yeah, Sahil has seen it all. I'm pretty proud of it. I used to play in a pop punk band. Back in the day, we used to do Blink 182 covers. It was me, the drummer on Noiseware, Gautam, and a guy called Mulli who was managing us, who did the Hammerfest and the Fall Metal Explosion, all these big gigs back in the day. So yeah, we were playing pop punk for a while. Sahil had judged, I think, our first ever competition.
I know, Sahil.
Yeah. So
I remember there was one time where you went on stage with that whole mohawk, with that red thing.
Man, we were pretty punk, man. We were like red mohawks and low slung guitars. And it was kind of like an odd thing because I had a warlock. Because when I had to buy a guitar, my parents had agreed to buy something cheap. And it looked glorious, man. Look at that shape. I was 16. I was like, yes, I just still have it. So I bought that, and but yeah, I was all about that vibe. And then we kind of moved into a little more hardcore kind of a sound, where we were doing a lot of screaming, very like shouty screaming. You were there for that as well, I remember, judging all the competitions. We had a track record of losing about 30 or 35 competitions, I remember, straight. We never won anything at all. And I remember finally...
You got quite a bit of like crowd response wise.
No, it was the other way around back then, man. I remember we played REIT and people used to love metal.
Yeah, they still do.
As in, people used to love metal and then they would hate everything else. So when we played at REIT, we got coined, bottled. People had found banana leaves and they had thrown that on us.
Good day.
Yeah, it was fun anyway, man. Yeah, he was there. So, yeah, I mean, all that had happened and we had... So, I mean, it contributed to a big way as to how comfortable you get on stage.
Yeah, of course.
And how much you learn from everything. So
I think like back in the day when you started, you definitely didn't have any metal sort of direction.
No, I did. In fact, I'm a guy who's grown up on everything that's come from the 90s. I don't really listen to any classic music. So metal for me started with Linkin Park, which I still love the first two albums, love them to death, probably because of production more than anything else. And then I moved on to a lot of Slipknot and then metalcore like Trivium and all these bands. And then came Meshuggah and all these art style of music. So yeah, I was doing all of that and then gradually that band dissolved and me and Gautam were like, we really want to do something on these lines.
That just set the tone for Noiseware to happen.
Yeah, it was like a very gradual. I mean, we've been accused that, you guys just took up 8 strings because it was cool and you went ahead with that. But no, man, I used to play on a 6 on a drop D tuning. I went to drop C. Then I bought a 7 string, which was the ASP SC207. And we were doing like the drop G sharp stuff. And then we had like a particular sound that we wanted to go in for. And that's how the 8 string happened. And we've stuck to it.
For sure.
We've been accused. I mean, a lot of people, not accused, people have said that, which is true, that a lot of people, when this whole 8-string guitar came in, a lot of people just went ahead and bought it. And you can see everybody selling it off right now.
Yeah, and you guys actually did advertise yourselves as the first 8-string band.
I agree. It's like, honestly, comes down to a bit of marketing which you need to do.
Oh yeah, which is what I was going to ask you about. Was it like a marketing thing? Did you guys, when you say you want to change our sound, like, let's just go out there and milk the...
We were a very new band and I would say we were a little... we were like kids, man. We were a little young back then, so we thought that was the best way to really try and get some attention.
That you would have to do a lot of, people are going to raise so many questions now that we have the 8
Yeah, I mean,
what are you going to do
in retrospect, it was pretty embarrassing to be advertising yourself as the first 8-string band.
Beyond a point, it actually sucked to be called like the 8-string.
I mean, it was cool to a point, but I think everyone does a couple of stupid things in their career.
Trust me.
I don't think it was stupid.
It was just funny. It was just something which...
what the general tendency is, the people tend to just that becomes your identity.
Yeah, and it did for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, it did for a while, and everybody still a lot of people associate us with the 8-string band. But we weren't really doing like a trend, because, as I said, a lot of people eventually sold off their 8 strings. A lot of bands in Pune especially had bought, and I think
we have found our sound using all of that.
I mean, the reason why we switched to the 8 string was I had this idea for a tuning. I jammed on it and made a couple of songs on it, and it was sounding cool, and we were like, okay, which was on a 7. So I didn't have the last string on the 7, the thinnest, and we had written a song on that and it sounded cool, and we were like, okay, cool, we should do this. And then we got the 8 string and it worked, and it has worked till now very well for us.
So the kind of music you guys make would often fall into the gent category.
Absolutely.
So why do gent bands generally be embarrassed about being called gent? Or are you all proud to say, yeah, we're a gent band, we're a modern progressive band? I
think the whole progressive term honestly is thrown about a little too much now. Everybody is a progressive band. I think as Noiseware, generally we're bad with genre, so we just say we're a metal band now. We don't know. I guess we're experimental to a certain degree because we try and we have post-rocky sections and we have all these.
There was never intention, very obvious intention to sound genty. Like,
Because
we never
Asile, if
forced
you
it.
probably know this, because in 2009 there was no gent. Gent wasn't even. I don't think it was an internet term back then, and there was no genre as gent
Yeah.
in 2008 2009.
Yeah.
The boom happened a lot later, and
Correct.
then everybody was playing that style of music, just like how metalcore happened in India in I
Yeah.
think a little while before this whole gent wave.
Yeah, but gent bands specifically seem to dislike that term. Like, I don't want to be known as a gent
Because
band.
everybody, I think, fights really hard to, find your own space and you want to be known as who you are. But it's fine, man. If people think we're a gen band, we have no problem with it. Call us anything. If you enjoy the music, if you come to a show, if you listen to our music on your
Sounding
CDs
particular way,
or
that's fine.
phones, that's what it's about. You can call us symphonic metal, gen metal. I mean, call us whatever you
works
want.
is fine.
Symphonic gent metal.
In fact, we were joking around yesterday at the gig saying that, with the newer material, it's kind of become like an 8-string rock band. Because it's a lot melodic, and I mean, gen bands do have this very signature sound where there's a lot of staccato, like these zeros,
Yeah.
which very complex rhythms they try and create. We don't really have that happening as we had.
In the newer material.
Yeah, in the EPI definitely there was a lot of that,
com-
but in the new material it's kind of become very chordy, very. I mean, he's just doing a lot of singing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's to complement his vocal style because we all enjoy that as a band. We enjoy his singing, we enjoy his voice, so we want to inculcate more of that. So, it's become like a 50-50 balance where he's 50% singing and he's 50% screaming.
Awesome. So look forward to the new material then.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I think the new material has a lot of
people.
newer elements which we all enjoy. Like, we enjoy a bit of electronic music, which is definitely finding its way in a very subtle way in our song.
Like, we are giving a lot of more breathing space to all the elements to come.
Yeah, it's just
on
like a
their own,
pizza
like
because
the
you're
bass,
still making metal, but then you're adding
Adding
everything,
different toppings.
different toppings and creating something nice to eat.
At what time?
Nice,
so.
nice. So you guys come from Pune, which is a notorious city for creating good bands that disband or disappear
Yeah.
after a while. What has kept you guys together so far for 6 years so far?
5.
5 years.
But yeah, see, I completely agree with that, and I think this logic, which I personally agree with, was posted out by you, which was that Pune is a student city, and people after they finish their graduation, they move on to the other cities, the bigger cities, and that's why the bands dissolve. Which is true to a certain extent, because I think a lot of the bands did dissolve because of that reason. Firstly, I think one thing that works is we've stuck around in Pune. I mean, we found our
Logistically,
careers
we're all there.
and Gotham is in Bombay, but yeah, logistically it still works out. Honestly, the 5 years, we've had this sort of a slightly dormant phase in the last 2. We've not been as active, we've been asked that why. And I think it's just that we've been trying to find a sound, trying to find what works for us. We've been a little busy. I mean, we also were students and we graduated, and it's time to find what you're going to do in life. Metal doesn't
Pay the
Pay the
bills,
bills.
of course.
but we enjoy doing it. So for a while it was that we're trying to figure out what we're going to do, and everybody did.
Right.
Everybody
in the midst
found.
of all of that, it's amazing how like there have been times where we all come together and groove to a particular riff, or jams used to happen like not that often, and then
but
used to be
it
like,
does take a lot of. I mean, you need to be dedicated to it because more than anyone else in the band, Aman really takes it to another level, and I would really want to bring this up. On his birthday, he works in his dad's company, and I mean, people think that if you work in your dad's company, it's pretty easy, man. Life's good. You're like the prince, but no, you got to take it to the next level, right? You are the guy who's
Of
going to
course.
take. So he works really hard, really hard. So this guy on his birthday, which was in April right now, I remember on his birthday, he had to go to a visit to Satara. So at I think 4 in the morning, he drove to Satara. We had a gig on the 5th, his birthday was on the 3rd. Drove to Satara in the morning, finished his work in the evening, drove back and made it time for a 9 o'clock jam from Satara. And that was his birthday.
It doesn't even
He
seem
came
like
for
effort,
jam.
it's just like,
He
I've
came for
gotta be
jam.
there.
I remember for band practice. We practiced because we had a gig 2 days
I've had
later.
many jams in wedding formals.
Yeah, where he's just come back from work and he'll just come straight for jam. But that takes a lot of energy and a lot of drive to be able to do that. So I
That
mean,
just speaks like for everyone. That's just like, the energy
Yeah,
is there.
I'm just
in
giving
everyone
you one
for me to, like,
example.
even come back and get associated with all of that. Like if I'm dying at say 10 o'clock in the night, all of that is just like,
but that's true. People always ask me, like, you don't drink or smoke or whatever, how do you change and transform into somebody else when you play live? And for us, it's just the music, man. It's as cheesy as that sounds.
Yeah, it's true, of course. Yeah.
But it is just the music. We love doing it.
So, since we're on a food show, let's also talk a little bit about food.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you guys like to eat generally, and what's like your favorite dish, your favorite cuisine?
I'm gonna go with North Indian cuisine, man. There's nothing for me personally spicy. I love spicy food, and there's nothing quite like well-prepared North Indian food. I'm a North Indian myself, so I love that, man. So I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna go with.
But
that.
you're also vegetarian.
I'm a vegetarian, yeah. So for vegetarian, I'd say anything with paneer is lovely. It's awesome. I love anything with paneer in it. Apart from that, paneer is kind of like the expected vegetarian answer. I think I love a lot of stuff with mushroom in it, and I do enjoy other cuisines, man. I like Italian food a lot. I enjoy Lebanese. I love shawarmas and all of that. And I'm a massive sweet tooth. Massive in the sense it's to another extent. I say I'm a sweet mouth. There's no tooth, sweet teeth. You can call it that.
That's awesome because we got Trollcakes for you today.
Exactly, and I'm a huge cupcake fan in the sense in Pune we have people who are like doing it on their own, making cupcakes, but we don't have stores where you can just go pick up like a batch. You have to order it, call these people and tell them, can you make it for me? So I come to Bombay, I come very often for work, and I'll go to Le 15 or I'll go to a Theobroma and I will go and eat whatever cupcakes I love, or I'll pick them up and take some home back to Bombay. So when you told me that you're doing this, I was like, hell yeah. Because I was like, firstly we're doing dessert, which I love, and we're doing cupcakes, which is red velvet. So I don't know if I was supposed to say that.
That's it, no. People are going to see it anyway. And what about you, Aman? What is?
Oh, I love my meat. Like
Yeah.
all forms of meat and salads. Surprisingly enough, like I'm into a healthy eating,
Okay.
and I like textures with my food. Like it has to have like sweet, sour, crunchy,
Nice.
and like put.
Good. So
I
hope
think
you-
I'm going to go with textures as well. Even I love textures
Like
a lot.
it has to create some experience in your mouth, otherwise it doesn't work. And I unfortunately don't have a very big sweet tooth.
Yeah, he does not,
So
but
I am
do.
really.
So I have a challenge either way. One to live up to your cupcake expectations, and one to convert the not so sweet tooth into.
But I think he can appreciate anything which is well prepared. So even if it's sweet
we'll
or
try and give him a party in his mouth.
Okay.
yes, party as Sunny had once put it out,
Yeah.
party in his mouth, yeah.
Awesome. So what I got to ask you is, what about the future of Noiseware? What can your fans expect? Because like you said, you've been dormant for a while. Do you have a new album coming out? Are you guys planning any tours? What's on the cards?
Yeah, I think we've been trying to bring this out as well. You know, we have been away, and a lot of people have been asking us, what is up with the album? Because we had said last year, and inevitably, like every Indian band, it has been pushed by 1 year. But it is happening. I'd say we're about 60 to 70% through with our writing. A lot of it comes down to finding time because everybody's a little busy, and say if I'm in the studio, I'm producing some band. Sometimes I just reach that sort of like a tipping point where I don't want to do anything musical. I just want to like maybe watch a movie or do something else. So that's why sometimes it takes a little longer. So, but yeah, it's been a little slow. But I think
in terms of like the direction is set, it's just that when do we actually get down and finish it? That's always
and
like
there is a
always
very
keeps getting
intense
pushed.
quality control that happens.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because there'll be, we have the advantage of having a studio setup where we record everything, send it over. But a lot of times people just be like, this does not work, we don't like it. And unless it's a democracy in Noiseware, everybody has to approve it, or it has to be a 4 on 5. In fact, we have our manager's vote counts as well, and all of this matters a lot. So when everybody does approve something and everybody says, yes, we will go ahead with this, that's when we go ahead with something. So that quality control definitely slows things down, because say if I do primarily all the writing, even I personally sometimes will write something, I love it when I write it, and 2 days later I'll be like, oh my god, what was I even thinking, man? So a lot of times it will happen that I'll be like, okay, no, this does not work, I'm sorry I wrote that. So yeah, there have been a couple of riffs which he loves, and he's like, please make a song out of that, and just be like, no, we just can't do that. So it's not working. So.
Cool. So I look forward to hearing the new album whenever it's out. And I think it's about time now we bring out those Trollcakes.
Yes.
Let's go get them Trollcakes. Alright guys, so here are the Trollcakes, which is a delicious red velvet cupcake with a cream cheese frosting. Not a buttercream frosting, mind you. So dig in.
I'll look forward to this.
Okay. how do we do this now?
You'd want to remove the toothpick with
Should I like jam on the breakdown of Trollcake?
I think I'm gonna leave it behind and like stare at the face and leave it. Okay.
Okay, cheers.
I'm gonna dig in. Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
I already know this is gonna be good because I'd say one of the keys to making a good cupcake is that the cake should always be moist. If you have a dry cake, it sucks. And you shouldn't eat that cupcake. So I can see
Textures.
Yeah.
I can taste the cheese and the red velvety. Beautiful.
I'm also gonna take this plate home. That's all I have to say about this. But man, this is
Now,
insane.
a few extra. I would like to take this back for my mom.
I'm gonna like get into
Now,
the specifics of it. Why this is insane is because the cake is super soft and it's moist. Now the key to a red velvet cupcake, in my opinion, is the cream should always be slightly. It shouldn't be only sweet.
Yeah.
You know, it has to have that butter flavor, the cheesy
The cheese
flavor.
flavor, yeah, of course.
Exactly, and people don't really get that right in a red
you
velvet
don't know when to
cupcake.
finish that.
So, hats off to you. This is
Thank you.
awesome.
So there you have it. Noiseware have given their seal of approval to the Trollcakes. And we'll see you on the next episode of Headbanger's Kitchen.
We've just come back from playing Control All Del, and for more than anybody else, Bombay, we love you. I mean, I think yesterday's experience was something which we will remember for a long, long time to come. As we've said in our video earlier.
Intense, like the amount of people just going up and down, there was just.
Thank you so much, Bombay. You are our favorite city to play at by far. I mean, you're not in the home city, but we love you, Bombay. We love you like
Bombay's
nobody.
home, man.
Bombay is home, man. We're not from Bombay, but Bombay is home for us, man. And to everybody else, the album is happening. I know you're waiting. We're waiting. We're sorry for the delay,
Apologies for the delay.
but we'll see
Thanks
you
for
really
all the
soon.
support in the midst of all this. Like, you know, the amount
Thanks
of
for
people-
sticking by.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking by, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much.